Hello and welcome back to Karma Stories. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today, I have some stories for you from the YouKaren subreddit. Before we start, just a quick heads up that I released a 32-minute pro-revenge story on the Patreon yesterday. It is one of the most disturbing stories that I have ever read and definitely was way too much to be posted on YouTube. So if you haven't yet, head on over to patreon.com/karmastories and check out that 32-minute epic tale. But with that out of the way, let's see what Karen's up to today. It's time to jump right in. This story comes to us from Woofyverse. Manager asks to see the Karen. This is something that happened a few months ago, but I still find it very funny to recall. For some backstory, the pizza place I work at used to do a little buy one get one free thing to boost business on slower days. Of course, there were restrictions to it. The coupon only applied to pizzas, and you couldn't stack it with any other coupons. Well, one customer just couldn't seem to grasp that last part. She started ordering either the end of last year or the beginning of this year, and every time she showed up, she would fight to stack coupons. Much to her satisfaction, my coworkers were too tired to deal with her BS, much past a few brief, "Ma'am, it's buy one get one at menu price." While it temporarily snuffed out the problem, it only fueled her resolve. We all hated her. We dreaded being the one stuck up front when she inevitably pulled up. On one particularly busy day though, it was me and another coworker manning the front. The two of us had just barely gotten a break from it all, and I was clearing out a few paid-for orders from the system when I noticed a very familiar name. It was her. Immediately, I went over to my boss and let him know she'd ordered. He's been aware of her antics, but has never really been there to address them himself, as the previous times he's either been on a delivery or trapped on cut table. Today, though, he was optimizing getting deliveries to drivers, something he could step away from. He told me to let him know when she showed up. I said I would, and we went back to work. When she showed up, she pulled her usual, "I have this coupon for buy one, get one. Can I use it?" "Oh, of course. I will have to remove your other coupons though. Is that okay?" "Well, your manager said I could use both." Oh, buddy, I knew this was BS. No manager had ever told her it was okay. "Oh, let me go get him real quick." The way her face fell as I turned to go get my boss, it was priceless. I don't know what he said to her, but she relented, and she hasn't fought with us since. She still orders on occasion, and is much nicer now that she knows we do bite back if you push too hard. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Lerp. It says, "Your story described my mother-in-law perfectly, until I got to the part about her backing down." Most pizza places these days have accounts for every customer under their phone number or whatever, and they can leave notes on them, so the manager just had to say, "Hey, I know that you've done this every time you've come in, and you may have gotten away with it before, but that's because they weren't able to get in touch with me, and now they have. So you're going to go by the rules, or you're not going to go here at all." This story comes to us from Advice Thingy. Karen is upset because taxi isn't big enough. Happened a few weeks ago in Germany. The metro station had a problem, so the company told people to leave the train and drive 2 stations by taxi. This isn't unusual, and the company pays for the short drive. Anyway, I get in the taxi with 2 other people. The car is big enough for 4 people, 3 in the back, 1 in the front. And at the next station, an older lady stops the taxi and asks if the mother, another lady, apparently a stranger to the old woman herself, can come inside with her kid. Driver says no, not enough space. One of the guys behind me leaves the taxi to make some space, so now there are 2 free seats. Driver tells the old lady that mother and child can sit down, and the old lady gets in the taxi. So now there's only 1 seat again. And of course, the driver points it out and another woman gets the seat. The mother understands and waves us away, waiting for the next taxi. During the ride, which is a maximum 3 minutes, the old lady starts to go off. That there is enough space, that the child, definitely over 10 years old, could sit on the lap, that the driver should have a heart, that people just aren't nice anymore. how it was better in the 50s, how it would be possible, etc., etc. At one point, all of the other passengers, including me, are defending the poor driver. We're in Germany. There are strict safety rules, and the driver can get in huge trouble if caught. It's his responsibility. The driver said multiple times that there would be enough space if she didn't sit down instead of the mother. I say at one point that she could have just waited to let the poor mother sit down, but of course, other people should have done it. She is old. She can't wait 2 minutes. Ignoring that A, someone literally left the car for her, and B, others aren't loudly complaining to the poor driver. The poor driver got a hard time for following safety regulations during his job, but at least everyone else in the car stood up for him and loudly told the Karen to shut the F up. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called Dano Cathouse. It says, "You really missed your opportunity to clarify with her. So you're saying Germany was better in the 50s? Ma'am, do you remember your history lessons?" I'm not sure what the rules and regulations are over there in Germany, but if somebody's in my car and they're being belligerent and a pain in the butt, they're getting kicked out at the earliest safe place that we can do it. And then this woman saying that the child of 10 years old could just sit on their mother's lap. Have you seen what happens to people in car accidents when they happen? A child sitting on their mother's lap would be a projectile. That is not cool at all. This story comes to us from Dragoness Ether. Parking machine Karen elbows me in the breast. Okay, I have a story that happened to me about 30 minutes ago as of writing this, and I'm still seething, so I'm sorry if my story is slightly incomprehensible. So I'm on holiday at the seaside with two of my friends, and we're all varying degrees of disabled and queer, relevant later. I'd left my friends by my car so I could pay for the parking ticket, which was pay on leaving, so that they could sit and relax after walking, and in case one of my friends had a seizure, there was someone with him. When I got to the two machines, there were two lines, one with one person paying and one with a line of 3 people, so naturally I stood behind the one guy. I was stood there for a good minute before he moved and I stepped forward. And then I heard, "Excuse me." I turned to see a woman with her hair in a messy bun, the fuggliest orange and pink long sleeve top I've ever seen, and big, gaudy brown sunglasses about 10 inches from my face. Karen. "I was in line first." I paused, dumbfounded. "But you were in that line," I said, pointing. I came to this one because there's 2 machines, and it was shorter. The wild Karen gripped her car keys tighter. "I was waiting in general," she sneered. I shook my head and waved my hand. "Look, I don't have time to argue with you, and I don't care." And I turned around and tapped the screen of the machine to put in my registration number. In a rage, Karen stepped forward and reached across me to try and put hers in first. Now, I don't like people in my space because of my autism, but as she reached, she pushed my arm out of the way, and without even thinking, I pushed her arm away from me. Karen was not happy. With all the might she could muster in her 5'5", maybe 100-pound self, she jabbed her elbow straight into my left boob, trying to get all of 5'9" and 17 stone of me to move. My autism didn't like that, and my body didn't move. So with one move, I placed my hands on her shoulders and shoved her back, sending her reeling a few steps. "Do not touch me," I said, putting my hand up to block her. "Don't you touch me, you effing bee," she shrieked, her banshee wails drawing a crowd. We repeated the same things at each other a few times before my non-binary friend, who doesn't have seizures, came over. "Excuse me," they called. "What's happening?" Karen then turned and started telling them their version of the event, making themselves the victim, which luckily gave me a chance to pay so we could leave quickly. Friend said, "Well, actually, I know them, and I know they wouldn't just swing on someone. Plus, I'm not blind, but we could see what happened from over there, and we saw you elbow them first." Friend's name, "I've paid, let's go," I said, pulling them away. Karen's face somehow got even more contorted. "Oh, of course you saw it." That's when a man stepped forward. "Come on now, we're all having fun. It's sun, sea, and sand," he says, trying to calm everyone down. The Karen whips around to him. "Well, I would have done if this man," she shrieks, pointing at my friend as we walk away, or woman or whatever this thing is hadn't interrupted, she carries on screaming as I pull my friend away and we get in the car and leave. To this nasty, entitled, transphobic, full of audacity Karen, F you colossal, see you next Tuesday. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Cracker Puppy. It says, I'm so sorry that happened to you, and I love that you stood your effing ground. Well done to you and your friend. OP responded and said, from both of us, thank you. Okay, so on this one in the comments, there's a whole bunch of people saying that OP cut in line and should have just let Karen go up and do her thing. Well, that may be true because we don't know how that lineup actually looked, only OP does. The way that Karen treated OP, if that were me, I wouldn't have let them go first either. A little bit of respect goes a long way. If Karen had said, oh, excuse me, I was waiting for that one, do you mind if I go first? Then I'm sure that OP wouldn't have a problem. But then, this wouldn't be a story in F YouKaren, right? This story comes to us from Commander Soyo. Karen is upset because Lidl employees won't bake bread for her. I just had a real-life encounter with a Class 10 Karen. So imagine this, it's 9 p.m., I haven't really eaten anything today, so I decided to go to Lidl and buy some bread and hummus. I go there, and as expected, this late in the day, the bakery is almost empty. But I find some bread in the leftovers bin, where they put bread that's still good enough to eat today, but will be thrown out at closing time. I get my hummus and some other things, and head to the checkout. There, I find 2 Lidl employees and a middle 40-something woman with a stereotypical Karen cut arguing with the employees. They speak English, and the woman speaks with an Eastern, Southern European accent, so most likely a tourist. I don't pay much attention for a while until I notice the argument is still going on. And with nothing else to do while I wait, I listen in. And JFC. She is complaining that there isn't any bread. Not only was there bread, until I bought everything that was left in the leftover bin, the 2 employees seemed very annoyed by this point because all they kept telling her is that the bakery stops making bread at 5 p.m. It is 9 p.m., 1 hour before closing time, so of course stock is low by now, for a good reason. The bread would be mostly stale by tomorrow. Karen keeps going on about disrespect and the employees not respecting the customer because they won't walk into the bakery and bake her bread. And so it goes in circles, over and over, until the cashier who was about to scan my stuff leaves and joins the party as well. I don't really know what they did, all I know is that it was over very quickly. The cashier came back, and all the other Lidl employees left as well. No sight of Karen after that. Bit anticlimactic, but damn, what an idiot. You know, in most places in the world, managers of stores like this have the right to refuse service to anyone. So, in this case, speaking to management and saying, I don't want to deal with this customer might be the right way to do it. I mean, management is there for a reason, right? They can handle the Karen. They can tell the Karen to leave before they get trespassed from the property. I don't understand why this isn't used more often when it's a policy that's in place in most stores. This story comes to us from C. Nikki. Now is not the time, Karen. Yesterday afternoon, I made some phone calls to some local cat boarding facilities. A friend is moving and will be displaced for a week, and his original sitter fell through at the last minute. I had zero hope on a Sunday afternoon over a holiday weekend, but here we go. I called the first place nearby that came up under cat boarding places near me, and a sweet lady answered immediately. Yay! I asked if she had current availability for 2 cats, and she said she doesn't board them, only dogs. I thanked her and started to hang up. She said, hey, hold on, or something, and I paused, thinking she might point me to another facility. Nope, she launched into a sermon. This is not verbatim. I was honestly too astonished to remember it all. I don't even board my own cats when I travel. I just fill up their food in water bowls, put out extra litter trays, and have friends drop by to check on them. Let me tell you this, cats get stressed by being boarded and they stop eating. If they don't eat for 3 days, they die. Did you know that? It's terrible for them. You should make other arrangements for their well-being. It went on longer than that and thoroughly pissed me off, so I decided to be petty and lie. Oh, okay. I'll be sure to put out extra water and litter trays in my burned out house. I'm sure that won't stress them out. I didn't need your condescension today, thanks, and hung up. I hope she feels like crap. OP added a quick edit down at the bottom. It says, edit to add, a couple of people have rightly called me out for calling her sweet, then complaining about her attitude. My apologies for unclear writing, but when I said she launched into a sermon, I was trying to convey that she went from sweet to scolding. She acted like I was an idiot for uprooting the cats needlessly. It just pissed me off that she had no idea what my circumstances were. Mine weren't that big a deal, but someone else could be dealing with life-altering circumstances. Anyway, sorry for any confusion. This one feels like it would fit into a couple of different subreddits. It's definitely good here in YouKaren, but this one would probably fit really well into Traumatize Them Back as well. Completely agree with OP on this one for the way they handled it. If this Karen doesn't know the situation, then they shouldn't be giving you a sermon on how to deal with your cats. Jeez. This story comes to us from OwnBlueJay7144. Karen was in the right at the gas station until she wasn't. So I pull up to a rear pump and stop because the forward pump had a traffic cone in front of it, which obviously meant it is out of service. I get a text and start replying instead of getting out and immediately pumping my gas. A minute into texting, a 50-year-old woman lays into her horn right behind me. I thought, oh crap, I'm a butthole on his phone, and jump out to pump. I think I scared her because she expected me to drive forward because she couldn't see the traffic cone in front of my car. She rolls down her window, puts on a fake smile, and says the most sarcastic sweet sorry I've ever heard in my life. I said, the pump ahead of me is closed. She says, what? I repeat it until she angrily backs up. Then it hits me. I look around and this huge gas station with 5 rows of pumps is completely empty except for me and her. She saw me looking down at my cell phone when she pulled in and decided to make drama with a stranger rather than pulling into one of the other 4 rows and getting on with both of our lives in peace. I know I had poor gas station etiquette, but F you, Karen. Alright, I don't know about you guys, but I'd want a little bit more context on this one to give a judgment, because if Karen in the car behind was driving a diesel and OP was at the only one of the pumps that also had diesel, then I could see this being an issue. The only other way this one makes sense is if Karen in the car behind was so used to going to the same pump that they just couldn't go to any other one. On the part of the diesel, I used to drive in a big 7.3 liter Ford Excursion, and you'd get to a gas station and need to go to the diesel pump, but there would be people filling up gas there who could have used any one of the other pumps in that gas station, but the only one that I could use was the one they'd be sitting at. So yeah, it definitely does happen. Alright, I think I've had enough of Karen for one day. I don't know about you guys though, so comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this one. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to follow us on your favorite podcasting platform, or if you're on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. It really does help us out. I thank you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.